By and large, the show started as primarily an over 30 crowd. We do specialize in like late 50s, 60s, and 70s films and guests. And then over the years, we've kind of adapted to include a few more mainstream stars, which have brought in some younger crowd. So it's a nice varied crowd, but it really is a horror movie crowd. And here we are, 9 shows later. We started in September of 2000, and here we are April of 2006 on our 9th show. Well, in doing what we do on trying to capitalize on, classic 70s films, Chainsaw was inevitable. It was just when to put it on. And lo and behold, at our first spring show in 2004, it just coincided with a 30-year anniversary. So we did it as a 30-year anniversary show.
We're sitting here in our own humble, low-budget way trying to celebrate 30 years of CHA with Mr. Ed Neal. Hey. Mr. Alan Danziger. How you doing? Leatherface Gunnar Hansen. Harold Burns, Mr. Paul Parte, Mr. Luke Berriman, and Mr. Robert H. Burns.
The atmosphere at our 30th anniversary show was fantastic. Everybody was upbeat. Paul Parte, who was sick, was in a great mood. Robert Burns, who didn't know he was sick, was in a good mood. Everybody just had a great time. The cast, the fans, myself included. I thought it was a fantastic weekend all around. You know what? I think when it comes to Chainsaw, I think every fan sees way more than they're shown on the film, and the images stick with them. You can't find too many horror fans, especially over the age of 30, where Texas Chainsaw won't be in their top 10 horror film list.
I think one of the first things I'd ever heard about Texas Chainsaw Massacre was an article in the paper. I was living in East Lansing, and there's an article about a football team that had gone to see it the night before a ball game, and they lost the ball game because they were too sick from watching the movie. And so it took a while to just come up with the courage to see this thing, because I was just ready to be traumatized, and I pretty much was.
My wife and I, Amy Lynn Best, we run Happy Cloud Pictures, and we've been doing the convention circuit for such a long time that we decided to go crazy and do one of our own, and that was a nightmare. But it was rewarding. Everyone seemed to have a good time, and fortunately they made all their money at all the shows at the rest of the year, so they didn't have to rely on us for their income. I've known Gunnar and Ed for years because of this convention circuit. I don't think I could have had my first show without them. They've always been good to us. They've always taken the time for us, and it meant so much to Amy and I to have them there. It's really something special, and they signed this banner that we had made for our first show. And anytime I'm feeling like really frustrated with the industry or anything, I go out in my hallway where this banner is, and there's Gunnar's name and Ed's and everyone else who was at the show to support us, and it gets me through the rest of the day.
To be honest with you, there was an old tagline from the third movie, "The Saw is family." And a Cinema Wasteland show, half the people through the door are regulars, have been here every show. The Wasteland is family. I think they just went hand in hand with each other. The fans are rabid about the film, and my regulars are rabid about this show. They just went hand in hand. I mean, like I say, the Saw and the Wasteland are both family to well over 1,000 people, who attend this show every 6 months.
I'm in the auto industry. I've been in service and parts for years. The convention is an idea that's been brewing in my head for a few years now, and I guess probably around May or June I decided to go ahead and do it, and my wife really encouraged me to do it, so that was a big factor in making that decision. But we've just been working for about 7 months on it, and it's finally worked out. We were told by so many people that it couldn't happen and it wouldn't happen in Texas, and we made it happen and it worked. You know, I mean, there's so much horror steeped in Texas or based from Texas. With the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, you know, Tobe Hooper, now we've got, you know, Robert Rodriguez working out of Austin, so there's so much stuff, and it goes even further back than that. So Texas has always had a stake in the horror industry. I think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a huge influence. I mean, you can see it's evident in the Rob Zombie films, so it's been a huge influence.
I was in Austin, Texas. It was fall, so that would make it September, October, because I went to a football game. And afterwards we went to a party, and the movie, people would play the movie over and over and over. There was music and there was the movie. And I didn't see the whole thing because it was pretty freaky.
And the first time I saw it, of course, it scared me. It scared us on the set. I mean, I think my most specific memory is the first killing that we did. It's when Bill Vale, what was his name? Kirk or something. He goes in and he stumbles on that little ramp, and Leatherface jumps out and hammers him a couple of times, and he trembles and shakes, and then he slammed that door, and we all just held it in until they said cut, you know, and screamed, and I ran out the door. I think everybody else ran out the door too.
I don't remember when I saw the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think I remember more about afterwards because I had heard so much about the blood and the gore, but then when I watched it, everything happened behind closed doors. But I always repeat this to people. It seems like they attribute more to that movie than what they actually saw. They swear they saw grisly chainsaws ripping through people, but it wasn't there. It was done so well that they leave thinking they saw that, but it was all done subliminally behind closed doors. So that was the remarkable thing about it for me.
Chainsaw Massacre always lived with me for a long time, and I always liked the movie, liked Tobe Hooper and everything. And that movie was actually film processed at a laboratory in Dallas that processed my movie when I shot my movie. We're well known, Texas is well known for that Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's inspired a lot of different movies from a lot of young independent filmmakers, and that's what's good about it, you know. It's given some people some ideas and some shots at doing their first horror pictures and stuff, and, you know, Tobe Hooper showed people what he did when he was young, you know, coming right out the door, you know. So it's a very inspiring movie in a lot of different ways.
Texas Chainsaw can be placed right up there with The Exorcist and the classic films of the Universal days. It scared the crap out of me.
Any closing words on this whole weekend?
I'm tired. I'm ready to go home and take a break, and I think I'll take a horror break also. I'm horrored out right now. Even though I love it so much, I'm done with horror for at least a week or so.